verse 13. And not many days after, the younger son gathered all together, journeyed a far country, and there wasted his possessions with prodigal living. But when he had spent all, there rose a severe famine in the land, and he began to be in want. So we are looking at the prodigal son. Now, please note, there are certain things we are going to look at within this verse. It says, and not many days after. So in other words, this young man had time to prepare. He had time to know that he was destined for a place he's never been, a place he's never seen, but a place he was to go to. Many of us have left our homes, destined for another home. Some of us have never been in that home. Some of us have never seen that home, but we are heading to a place. We have sat down to prepare, sat down to look at things that we may need before the point of arrival. We have put things to say, in case the weather changes, I must have prepared for me to depart. Because you cannot prepare when you have arrived. You've got to prepare before you leave. So he spent some time at home looking and saying, okay, before I depart, there are things I need to put in place. I need to put this, I need to put that. So the days he is spending, he is not spending to enjoy, but he is spending to prepare before his departure. He is understanding that the security that he had when he was at home is going to change to a certain extent, whereby now alone he will be somewhere else and no longer with the security he had. He was to prepare for a place he's never been, he's never seen. You might be from the same surrounding area, but you have never been in that particular place you are at now. Some of us have left for university. Some of us are entitled in different things, but you have never prepared for that place. So now, when he leaves, there is something you must understand. He leaves a place where there were relationships. He leaves a home where there were relationships. He heads towards another home to go and create relationships. Because here we then see in the same verse, the younger son gathered all together, meaning to say he gathers himself, leaves, and goes to a place to make himself a home away from home to create another relationship that he had when he was at home. My question is, how is your relationship with those that you surround yourself with? How is your relationship even to those that you're sitting next to now? Is it just facial, or is it artificial, or is it actual? Can someone hold and say, look, behold, as the brother reads Psalms 133 verse 1, where it says, behold how good and pleasant it is when we dwell together in one accord. We are from different places, but we have gathered together in one place to create a relationship, because we have come from home and Now we are in another home. Now there is something that I did not tell you. When this young man leaves, he does not leave just barely. He lives having had a background, having been taught on mannerisms, on relationships, on respect, and on love. So when he lives with that built within him. But as he departs, he does not say to himself, that which I've been taught from the day I was born till now, I will leave it behind. No, 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 no. He takes it with him. When he is in a faraway country, that does not die. Now, as you are in another home, how is your relationship? Have you killed that you have been taught? To say, my child, love one another. My child, when you go, respect each other. My child, when you go, let people see he who lives within you. Does he say, my child, all that I've taught you in terms of mannerisms, kill it? What has happened to the relationship? Has the relationship died? What is going on with the relationship? How do you treat each other? How do you take care of one another? Is there a question when someone is being treated to say, why are you doing so? What do you want to gain out of it? Or do you look at it in love and say, guess what? Guess what? Behold how good and pleasant it is. Because the way we treat each other is the way heaven would look down upon us and heaven would say those words. When Christ would call his Father or his angels and say, behold, look down upon planet Earth, look down upon China, go down to the place where my children are and see how good and pleasant it is that they treat each other well. They love me and they love each other. Or does a question come into mind to say, behold, how painful and sad it is that these claim to love me, yet fail to love each other? The book of 1 Peter, chapter 4, the verses 8. The book of 1 Peter, you forgive me as I said, I am an old timer, but we'll look at this part of the verse. Loving each other wholeheartedly, loving each other sincerely. How is your love towards the person next to you? How is the love towards each other? Do we treat each other for a season and not for a lifelong? Do we love each other because this one has this, or this one gives me this? Because I'm home away from home, the way things are done is this way. One man for himself, God for us all. That is the way of the world. The way of God is all men for God, none lost. You're loving each other because of certain conditions. When this young man goes to the world, his way of love does not die. Though he thinks he's doing the right thing, but forgetting, guess what? There are things that the world offers that is different to what home offers. The world has its own. The world loves its own, but the world kills its own as well. God never does that. When you look at us, when you live for a certain place, have you noticed something funny? You change. The things you used to do at home, the things that you were taught at home, become different to the place you were. You change. Changing because of the environment. Changing because of the place you are at. It is sad to note that people daily are changing because of the places they are at, but when they go back home, they are another person. You left home. You are in another home where you are trying to make it your home. But as you try to make it your home, don't change because of the place. It is sad to say this. People change to suit their wants and not their needs. Let me explain. Wants are temporal, needs are permanent. You change because you want this, you change because you want that, but forgetting that there is a need, and a need doesn't change. God's love towards us doesn't change, but we want to change God's love to suit what we want. Don't change because of the environment, but change the environment. What am I saying? Don't change because you are in another place, but change that place because that place, maybe the love there has died. That place, maybe the care for one another has gone. That place, maybe the respect has gone. You know, long ago, when I used to board the bus, when an elderly person would stand, it would just tell you automatically that here an elderly has stood, though we paid for the same amount, but respect goes far. You then change and say, ma'am or sir, may you please take your seat. Back then, you would see a woman pregnant, whether she is 2 months, whether she is about to give birth, automatically you change and say, Lord, it's now your turn to sit. Mine has gone. But nowadays, that has died. Nowadays, friends will tell us, why are you wanting to take care of this person? Let him suffer the way we suffered. Is that Christ-like? Are you sure? Christ never wants to see his own suffer. That's the world and all that it gives that wants that to happen. That's the world's thought of mind. You love, you respect, you take care, no matter who it is, because he that lives within you is greater than what the world offers. Romans chapter 12, verse 2. Romans chapter 12, verses 2, it says, do not conform to this world. Do not live according to the worldly standards, Don't change and become like the world. What the world says you do, what the world tells you to do, you do it better. Even the world will look down and say, hey, we thought we were advanced, but we didn't know that your techniques are more advanced than ours. Because the traits that you are showing has changed to that what you have been taught, whereby you are showing worldly traits, changing into worldly desires. My brothers and sisters, the world is coming to an end. Don't make it an end upon you. The world one day will show you things. You know, if you read as we go, you will find out that this country that this man is in is a country of different lifestyles. But though being taught, he slowly loses all that he possessed. Remember, he lives with his possessions. He goes into the world, but what he had left with, in other words, instead of going to change the world was changing him, and the world was eating him. Where you are, what has changed? How you speak, what has changed? How you narrate one to another, what has changed? We are told by Romans, by Paul, when he says, do not conform to this world. In other words, do not become like this world. Don't change according to worldly standards. Change according to heavenly standards. From one step, you're going up. You're not going down. Because when you are away from home, the things you used to do at home, the way you used to take care of others, the way you used to love one another, the way you used to respect, because I'm away from home, I must do it the same way. Alas, painful and sad to say, we are changing according to the world. As you are there, remember you spent days before your arrival. Remember whether you live within the local area of China, but you have left home to go to another home. Whether you left from Africa, going to Asia, whether you left from Britain, whether you left from the Americas, whether you left from Australia, you have changed going to another home. Now, before you left, you had objectives that you had said, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, because I want to achieve these goals by the time I'm done. So that when I return home, I'm fine. I have dealt with everything I have written down. When this young man left, instead of making it out there, he lost it out there. What are you doing out there? What's your reason to be there? What's your reason? Are you there to be, then, everyone back home, wherever you came from, will say, guess what? He's in China. He's in China. And that's what they know. What is he doing in China? He's doing architecture. What is he doing in China? No, he's doing this, he's doing, or she's doing that, she's doing. They are mentioning the things you are doing back home. But now when you are that side, you are doing the opposite. Because you want people to know where you are. But the objectives have been lost because of the desires of the worldliness that has crept in. The young man was in that faraway country forgetting his objective. The objective was this: I have been given wealth. Let me use it well. Let me show what I have been taught at home here, how to love. But guess what? The world drew him, and he slowly began to lose all that he had. Is that happening to you too? Losing everything. The respect has gone. Wanting this has come. Desiring things that have no Christ-like feeling. You are now doing things in a different way. Monies are used aimlessly. The objective has been lost. Some are doing things that has nothing to do with the objective. Because mom and dad or my relatives have failed to send me money, so what do I then do? I must find a way to make money. Becoming loose, in other words. Doing things that the world conforms with, in other words. Not being able to show anything has been done. It is painful on the things we do. My question is, how far are we with our objectives? Are we still in line, or have we lost it along the way, sir? Yes, things are not coming to meet, or ends are not being met. Yes, things are happening. Yes, I understand. Pastor, you don't understand. I am not where I am supposed to be. I am where I'm not supposed to be. I'm in an uncomfortable place. I am failing to make ends meet. He who is clever does this. You prepare for the storm before the storm arrives. You don't prepare when the storm has come. Let's say I don't know how to do the foreign exchange rate. I live with $100. I have been told, my child, for now I have nothing, but hold on to this $20 or $100 that I'm giving you. He who is wise will seek and see those that he knows, no matter from which place you have come from. He will say, my brothers, I only have this. My sister, I only have this. And when we meet, because we all know where we come from and understand all that is happening, we meet together and put our monies together so that when the storm comes, we are okay. A squirrel will keep its food while you're thinking it's eating, because when winter comes, it knows that the storehouse is full. But we don't want to do that. We want to use and claim to prepare for winter. When winter comes, we become the streetwise of wilderness. And all of our objectives die by the wayside. as you think and ponder, how are we with our objectives? Where are we with our objectives? It's time for us to say, as Solomon said in the book of Proverbs, chapter 16, verse 3, to commit everything to the Lord, to say, Lord, help me to attain my objectives. I have lost it by the wayside. I have taken a crooked path, walked a crooked way, thinking I am well, but not understanding that I'm just slowly becoming a crook. A crook, in other words, is someone who is slowly doing things that have nothing to do with God. You look like a Christian, you act like a Christian, but you're not a Christian. That's a crook. You speak like a Christian, but guess what? If given the rightful time, the world will come out of you. You are two-faced, you are not one-faced. When the world dances, you dance. When the world marches, you march. And when you are in church, oh, you sing, you are marching to Zion, beautiful, beautiful Zion. That's a crook. Let me tell you something that you don't know. Let me tell you something. Do you know that everyone you look at is a TV? Even yourself, you're a TV. No, I don't mean as television. I know something as good. He's meaning television. No, 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 no. The pastor, even those that are underneath, that are waiting for the coming of the Lord, have TVs. Every person you look at, just look at the person beside you right now. That person is a TV. They are holding what is called a temporal visa. On this earth, everyone you meet has a temporal visa. He has a TV. They don't have permanent residence here. Everyone you meet, as you walk, no matter be it a person from out of the country, whether be it your parents, everyone has a TV. Everyone has a temporal visa. But as we have a temporal visa, we should aim for a prayer. What is a prayer? A prayer is permanent residence in heaven. That's a prayer. P-R-I-H. Everyone, as you live daily, home away from home, you must live intending to attain a permanent residency in heaven. Not a temporal visa that you're holding on to. Even I myself, I have a temporal visa. I must never be wise in my own eyes. I must never think I am clever in doing things. Did you know that you can just say, my head, and that's it of you? Then now the only thing now is you got to pray that your visa is not terminated. As you live daily, home away from home, live as if Christ is coming. And sorry to say this one, I know people are going to say, is Pastor wishing bad upon me? No, 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 I'm not. Live as if at any moment, if death is to come, all is well. If death is to meet you, you know that, guess what? As we read in the book of 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, we all know it, where we are told by Paul, and the dead in Christ will do what? Will rise first. So that means I do not have a terminated visa. I now have a permanent residency in the kingdom of God. That means as I am going to sleep, I know I will arise to meet him. It goes on to say, when Paul says, even we who are alive, he doesn't say even we who are dead. So what we get from there is you must have a permanent residence in heaven while you walk on the face of this earth. While you meet a brother, a sister, you are looking at one having a permanent residency in heaven. When I walk, I know I look like a TV, but when people see me, I have a prayer. I have a permanent residency in heaven. Proverbs 21 verse 2 says, every way of a man is right in his own eyes. Every way of a man. That's why you see that we argue. Though we might be wrong, but we still argue. Because what we say is right before us. Do you know that you can look and walk like a Christian, but having a terminated visa? Even the pastor, myself, can preach, tell you about the Lord's coming. The coming King is at the door. But yet, my way of life is different to what I am saying. Being wise. Let me just take you back a bit. Did you know that the 5 foolish knew the word, but did not live according to the word? They were wise in their own eyes. So are we. We claim, but don't live. Hence it is said to say this to you. There is a remnant, but guess what? Within a remnant. Not the remnant. There's a remnant, you are correct. We are the remnant church. We are a remnant people. But sorry to say this, though you are that, but within you, there's a remnant. Though you claim to be one of the remnant people. Do not be wise in your own eyes. We are told in the book of John, 1 John, chapter 2, verse 15. We know it. Love not the world, nor the things within the world. Love not. In other words, there must be a distinct variation between the two. No one should question. It should just be seen. That the world is going left, you keep going straight. The world is making a U-turn. The world behind me, the cross before me, because I know I'm going home. I know where I'm heading. Now, here is what we need to understand. Verse 13 says, and they wasted his possessions. He wasted everything, even his livelihood. He wasted it. He became like the world. Even the world and him, you could not distinguish. You could not even question. Did he not leave being and now you could not distinguish, though he was far from home. You are home away from home. Let there be a distinguishment between the home that you are at and its surroundings. There must be a difference. People must notice. Even, you know, when you act in a certain way, you love, you care, you even provide. People will ask you, What's happening? I see you've never stopped doing this. You are continuing. Because you have not becoming wasteful. Neither are you waste, but you are becoming blessed. Because guess what? You've not wasted any possession. In other words, you've not even wasted that which is within you. When the world looks at you, the world asks questions to say, doesn't he, many questions come up. Isn't she, man, I'm failing to understand. Let's go and ask. And guess what you do? You point them to him who is within you. Because the traits of the world are not found. You know, it must not be this way. Let me speak about wasteful possessions, where your family has sold everything, where your father calls and says, my child, I don't have it now, but I'm going to send. You think that your father has everything. But wherever he is, whether some are child-headed homes, I don't know, but you think out there, they are going to send you something. But you don't get it on time because he is crying and sweating, saying, I have a child out there that needs to be taken care of. And then guess what happens? Because the money is late, we try and find other ways and means to create that money. And guess what? We do it one time, we do it the second time, and you say, no, I'll do it, no, this time, I'm stopping. Let me tell you the saying that we used to have growing up. And that was me who, when I was doing naughtiness, and you know, the world will tell you a certain thing. And we used to say this. This is worldly, by the way. If you ain't with the flow, then you have got no glow. So you got to go because you're way too slow. That was the worldly way of things. Because we wanted things quick. We wanted things in a certain way. So if you're not flowing with us at that particular time, then we will tell you that, no, you better go. Because you're not flowing with us. And that's the world, by the way. So let us be careful as we are home away from home, to not lose our possessions, to not lose what we have, to lose the mannerism, to lose the respect. And so I'm sorry to say this, to lose our character. Did you know that character determines where you're going? As you hold on to the TV, and if you are to leave this earth and go to sleep, you might think you have a prayer, yet you have held on to another form of a TV, which I spoke on earlier on, a terminated visa. Unfortunately, because of your character. We read verse 14. We are about to close. We read verse 14. We are just left with two more verses, then we will close. We read verse 14. It says this, but when he had spent all, there arose a severe famine in the land. When everything was gone, the world decided to become the world. You smile with the world now, you laugh with the world now. The world will show you that, guess what? There's a time to rejoice, And there's a time for you now to bake. There's a time for you now to become worldly. But I'm going to say this. Save for the time of drought. We spoke about putting monies together. We spoke about working together. You know, a relationship doesn't look at, you know, this one coming from this, maybe you come from America, maybe you came from Britain, from Kenya, from Tanzania, from Zambia, Zimbabwe. You name the country that you have come from. A relationship, when you build it together on the rightful path, on the rightful way, during the time of famine, you are okay. Because together, you know how to build. So what am I saying? Is know those that destroy and those that build. Those that destroy, you know what they do? They'll tell you, let's eat now. Why you want to eat later? Why you want to save later? Don't forget you live once. And when you die, it's gone, my friend. When the time of famine comes, you will truly live once because you become a beggar amongst those that have. Now imagine this. This is what happened to this young man. He goes, everything is taken, everything, all that he had, that he left with home, not some things, he left with everything. He went to the city. He ate with those in the city. And guess what happened to those in the city? When the time of famine came, they closed their doors. When the time for famine came, they even made sure that there was noise in the house so that even if he could call their names from outside, they couldn't hear. Some would sit down and ignore. Now imagine, some would stand on a balcony looking down and start laughing at him. But they had forgot during the time of plenty, they were together. Now is the time of famine. Know your friends before they destroy you. Many people are corrected. You know, when you correct someone, they think it's wrong, but without understanding that they are trying to save you from the time of famine. They are trying to save you for the time of destruction, not instruction. You can't get instruction when you're going through a turbulence. You get instruction before it happens. When a typhoon comes, you are told, get ready. When a flood comes, you are told, leave before it also comes to you. It doesn't happen, then they tell you that, excuse me, in the next minute, they have to prepare you before the time comes. Don't be prepared when famine comes. When you work as a team, you are working together. You are not destroying each other. You listen to instruction, you get hold of instruction. Now, I'm going to make us look at the book of Proverbs. This is how I'm going to read it for you because the people might not get where I want us to get to. Proverbs 27, and the verse is 7. The verse is 17. Proverbs 27, the verse is 17. This is what I want you to get to understand. That iron sharpens iron. When you work together, when you work as a team, though you are away from home, you're building together. When you work as a team, you know what you are putting together. When you work as a team, you know how to meet the drought or the time of famine together. Because when the time comes, you will not be lonely, but you will know that, guess what? I have my sister, I have my brother, the time of famine has come, but together we will meet it. No matter how long it will take, we are there together. Because when the time of famine came, notice it only looks at him. His friends were okay. Those that he had met were doing well. But famine rose around him. Friends will leave you. But that doesn't mean there's a friend that has really left you. Friends will go away from you. That doesn't mean that there's a friend that is far from you. I'm speaking about Christ. That when the famine comes, he will never leave you nor forsake you. As I am about to close, I'm going to speak upon a home away from home, and not in the way many of us were talking about just a few minutes ago. Remember, as I said, we all have a TV. As we live daily, we have a TV. As we walk daily, we have a TV. As we speak daily, we have a TV. Oh, sorry, excuse me. We have a TV. As we narrate with each other, we have a TV. I'm speaking upon a temporal visa. Everyone has. But as we prepare to leave this home we have, as we prepare to depart, you know, tomorrow you'll say hi, but you might not have the time to say goodbye. This one, I will say it without fear. Do you know that the way you leave home, the home that you are at now, will be different to your returning? Where you will not even hear phone calls going this way and that way to say, Pastor Green is no more. What happened? He got hit by a bicycle. Bicycle hit him. How? He's no more. No, guess what? Someone just bumped into him and that was it. You know, death is coming in different ways. But have you prepared? As you are carrying your TV, have you prepared? As you walk daily, are you prepared to say, guess what? When I am to leave, I have a prayer with me. I have a permanent residency in heaven. If death is to cross my path, I'm okay. That's why I can gladly stay with Jesus in the vessel. I can smile at the storm because guess what? Though I have a TV, but in me, I have a prayer. I have a permanent residence in heaven. Character determines where you are going. Look at yourself at this moment in time. Look at your character at this moment in time. How is your character? Are you stingy? Are you loving? Are you caring? Are you a backbiter? What type of a person are you? Do you destroy instead of create? What type of a person are you? We are walking, everyone, as I said earlier, is walking with a TV. Even those that are under this earth, that are waiting for the coming of the Lord, are holding on to a TV. It is said that when he will come, some will have another TV, which is a terminated visa. Because when he comes, the dead in Christ rise first. So that automatically means as he comes and I am ascending, it means, guess what? I have permanent residency now. I'm going home. I'm going home. Ezekiel 38. Ezekiel 38. We just want the first part of Ezekiel 38. Just the first part. Ezekiel 38, verse 7. Verse 7a. It says this: prepare yourself and be ready. Prepare yourself every day, every moment. You must be able to say this every hour, every hour. Blessed Lord, how much I need thee. Because guess what? The world has its standards. The world has its going. But as I am here, Master, I am home, away from home. Home is where we are all headed to. But the question is, which home? Which home? There are two homes. As I am speaking right now, there are two homes. It's either you are with home H with a three-letter word in front of it, or with the other home. Where Christ, in the book of John 14, verse 1, when he says this to his disciples, because he was about to leave, it was a painful moment. He says, I go and prepare a place for you. Has it been so that heaven is saying right now to you, you are destined for this place, I'm preparing a place for you? Or is heaven crying because you are not living as one who is headed home? You are living as one who is headed towards a hole. Hole as in H-O-L-E, not home, H-O-M-E. You are headed for a hole, not home. The way you're living, there is no home for you. The coming King is about to come. As we look at worldly events, as we look at Matthew 24, we are now at the toenails where things are happening. Notice how earthquakes, things are happening in a way that you don't even understand. Where an earthquake was at this magnitude, now it's at that magnitude. It's gone up. Where floods, you are seeing that it's now taking at times the whole town. Look at the typhoon that has happened. Look at the tornado that has happened. They are now, you are now telling people to leave the whole city because of what is to come. Let's not go far. Look at Florida. Those are signs to say, guess what? It's time for us to prepare to go. But as we prepare to go home, look at yourself. Are you ready to go home? If not, prepare. As I said earlier, you may say hello now, but not have the time to say goodbye. You may live wherever you are right now, going out, but might not return the same way. You are now in the aeroplane. Something else might happen. You are in the train, something else might happen. You are in a vehicle, something else, on a bicycle, on a tuk-tuk, on a boda-boda. Anything can happen. Because you know why? Death is everywhere. But though death may come, it must come with me having a prayer, a permanent residency in heaven. My brother, my sister, the Lord is coming. Are you ready to go home? May God bless the reading of his word as we worship and make ourselves ready daily. And make ourselves ready daily so that whatever is to happen in the city, whatever is to go on where I am right now, I know I'm going home. There's a song that was sang long back that says, I'm heading home. I'm going home where I belong. Not home as in going back, maybe some are from within China and they're going back to certain home that they live around. Not a home as in going back to Britain, going back to America, going back to Africa. No, home as in H-E-A-V-E-N. Home. Let's all get ready to head home. May the Lord bless you all.
Amen.